on opening the sutra.
Good evening on this very cold night. I'm very impressed that so many of you have rallied. Thank you. I was picking Roshi up from the university and I said, do you think we should have canceled tonight because it's so cold? I mean, the kids didn't have school. He's like, nah, you'll have some diehards coming tonight. And here you are. This is fantastic. So we are continuing on with the Blue Cliff record. We're on case 5, Shui Feng's grain of rice. I'll start with the pointer and then do the case. Whoever would uphold the teaching of our school must be a brave, spirited one. Only with the ability to kill a person's delusions without blinking an eye can one become Buddha right where they stand. Therefore, her illumination and function are simultaneous. Wrapping up and opening up, out, are equal in her preaching. Principle and phenomena are not two. And she practices both provisional and the real. Letting go of the primary, she sets up the gate of the secondary meaning. If she were to cut off all complications straight away, it would be impossible for late-coming students of elementary capacities to find a resting place. It was this way yesterday. The matter couldn't be avoided. It is this way today, too. Faults and errors fill the skies. Still, if one is a clear-eyed person, they can't be fooled one bit. Without clear eyes, lying in the mouth of a tiger, one cannot avoid losing one's body and life. And as a test, I cite this case. I feel like I've got an echo going on, is that right? Yes or no? I'm not worried, okay. So the case, Shui Feng, teaching his community, said, When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as a grain of rice. I throw it down before you. We can't recognize it, as it is in a black lacquer pail. Beat the drum. Please search everywhere. So that's the case. It's definitely one of those koans that gives Zen that reputation of having those damn fangled, impossible, troll-like riddles. And, but nevertheless, I think having this brave spirit, this intrepid spirit, is actually what is required to enter into the spirit of the koan, which is also the spirit of awakening. And quite frankly, there's really no way around that. One has to be very, very brave. And especially because you're groping around in the dark so much. You don't really know what's going on. I think I might have told you when we were in Massachusetts, we went to the Museum of Contemporary Art in North Adams, and an artist had put this box, quite large box actually, in the middle of a room, and it was all black cloth everywhere on the ceiling and on the walls. Of course, there was no light, so you had to go in and literally like feel your way in the box. And everything was cool as long as, for me, right? As long as I could feel the wall, right? But then the artist decided, like, you're on this path and this track, and then there was no wall to feel, right? And I'm like, I think that's my exit strategy right there. Because I'm not really sure what's happening here. So, so much for my bravery, but it's something like that. I mean, fortunately, in Zen, when we're doing that sort of feeling our way in the dark, there actually is this sense of being held and supported, and there's this trust, right? There's just some trust there. So when you can't even feel the wall anymore, it's possible to keep moving in the dark. And pretty much all of Zen practice includes some element of moving in the dark, moving in the not knowing. And that darkness, that not knowingness, is quite luminous. But it's also incredibly humbling. Because you know this thing is so much larger than us groping around. So something about the combination of the trust and the largeness of it and the grandeur of it and the illumination of the darkness itself having illumination, which is very hard to describe, but when you're sitting. I think you know what I'm talking about. So there we are with all that darkness business. And I've lost my train of thought. I will circle us back, I promise. Oh, the bravery, right. We started with the bravery. So, even inside of that, like, just having the bravery to be able to, like, lose your train of thought, right? And not be sure at all about the next thing that's going to come out of your mouth. And somehow that's okay. Even more than okay. It's like something is trying to express. And it's not necessarily what my ordinary mind thinks it is. So in a sense, that it's still that stumbling in the dark. And you can feel the spaciousness in that. And especially, I want to just reiterate, you can feel the trust in that. And the letting go in that. And the resting in that. Right? So it's so interesting. You start with bravery, high-spiritedness, and you somehow wind your way through the darkness into resting and trusting. And those things all work together. It's quite interesting. Anyway. So I wanted to say a few things about Shui Fang, because he's kind of interesting. He lived in the 800s, so a long time ago. He was known as the rice maker, right? So he always wandered around with his black lacquer pail and his ladle. And whenever he went to a monastery to visit, he was always the rice steward. Like, that was his job. That was his Dharma practice. And one day when he was on his way to visit a monastery, he was sort of following the bank of the stream to the monastery, and he noticed that there was a grain of rice floating in the stream. And he said to himself, this place is not for me. Someone has let a grain of rice out of their sight and out of their care. The Zen is not the Zen for me, right? So he went to turn around. I'm not going there. Those people don't deserve my fabulous practice here. But as he turns to go around, he notices this monk running down the bank with a bucket and like a sieve or something, and he's trying to catch this grain of rice in the river. And at that point, Seppo said, oh, okay, I can go to this one. I can trust this. Right? So that grain of rice shows up in this koan. Isn't that interesting? Then there's another story about him. So he was really good friends with Yanto, and there's a case in the Mumonkan about them when they were studying with Deshan. And Yanto was a bit more along in the path than Seppo. And Seppo was kind of, as you can imagine, liked things to be correct and right, and was always trying to looking and discriminating and judging and in this case, in the Mumonkan, he judges his teacher to be a little bit like going senile, kind of losing it a little bit. So he has a little conversation with Yanto, and Yanto realizes, oh, this is a chance for me to like help him see a little compassion here, a little wisdom, a little clarity. I won't tell you the whole story, but it helped him. It helped Zhui Fang, who's Seppo, same person. So there's a story of them going on a pilgrimage together. And while they were on this pilgrimage, there was a big snowstorm, so they had to stop on some mountain somewhere, I think Tiger Mountain or something. And Seppo, being very dutiful, immediately, they set up camp, and he's like, I'm doing zazen, right? So he's sitting, and sitting. And then, like, he notices out of the corner of his eye that his friend Yanto is just like lollygagging around, lazing around, not sitting, whatever, right? He's like, Seppo's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you sitting, right? And his friend says, what are you talking about? Why aren't I sitting? What are you trying to prove here? You look like kind of like some statue up on the altar. I mean, where's your humanness, right? Where's your joie? Where's your relaxed, trusting life, right? And Seppo says, I can't relax. My mind is still a little messed up, right? I gotta keep sitting. Right? I had a little bit of an opening at Deshawn's place, and let me see if I can get the exact wording of that, because that was interesting. When he went to Deshawn's place, he asked Deshawn, does this student, meaning himself, have any share in the matter handed down as the fundamental vehicle? Do I belong here? How many of us are asking ourselves that question over and over and over again? Do I really belong here? I don't even know what the hell is really going on here. And with that question, Deshawn struck him. And he said, what are you saying? And something about being brought into the moment of that strike with that question, like, what are you doing? Like, snapped Seppo out of it, and he had a little bit of an insight, of an awakening. And he said to Yanto, when Deshawn hit me, it was like the bottom falling out of the bucket. So I want you to hear the bottom falling out of the bucket, and remember the koan where there's a black lacquer bucket. Okay? So there's two things going on for Seppo, right? He's had some breakthroughs, he's had some insight, and his mind is totally not settled. And it's kind of like, well, welcome to Zen practice, right? These karmic habit patterns are, pretty deep. And honestly, most of Zen practice is post-satori, post having insight into the great matter, like cleaning up, doing the hazmat of cleaning up all that poison that's been hanging around for a long time in our mind stream and in our hearts. But it's done in a completely different way after Kensho. There's definitely more of a twinkle in the eye, and it's a hell of a lot easier. So Yanto was hearing both of these things from Seppo, and he said to him, he actually shouted at him, "Haven't you heard it said that what comes in through the gate is not the family treasure? You must let it flow out from your own breast to cover heaven and earth. Then you will have some small portion of realization." And with that, Seppo had another awakening, right? This is like so central to the core of our training. Seppo was still thinking that his mind stream was like, the changes in his mind stream and his heart mind stream was dependent on his encounter with Deshan. When actually it's his own heart mind that's transforming, right? It always comes from the inside out. There can be some catalyzing experiences, right? But it's always our perception, right? Our changing it, like at the very depths of our consciousness, how we understand who we are, how we love who we are, how we love each other. So don't ever forget that, okay? That's like right at the core of Zen practice. What comes in through the gate is not the family treasure. What comes in through the gate is not the family treasure. Family treasure is already there. It just needs to be realized. You know, that's why when people want to give their power away to the teachers, or to the, they're like, no, take it back, take it back, take it back. I don't want it. Hot potato. Too hot for me to handle. You deal with your own stuff. And I have had that happen, actually. I have had people's stuff be a little too hot for me to handle. And it really doesn't go well. I usually get really baked and fried. I have to do a lot of recovery. Anyway, occupational hazard. Happy to take it on. Okay. Is this ringing any bells for you? Okay. Love this line. You must let it flow out from your own breast, right? Super important. That's like, you know, it has to be authentic to your Buddhahood, your Buddha nature, your experience. If it's not authentically coming from inside out, it's really not interesting. There's no like energetic signature to it. There's no power in there. And actually, when we're looking and thinking about where people are at in their training, we're looking for that energetic signature. And it's hard to describe what that is, but we know when we're in the middle of it. And okay. So these are the two stories. Oh my gosh. All right. Really quick. Okay. So now, after hearing those stories, listen to the koan. When I pick up this great earth, it is as big as a grain of rice. I throw it down before you. We cannot recognize it as it is in a black lacquer pail. Beat the drum. Please search everywhere. So he's really exhorting his students to train. And we'll just have to go deeper into it next time because I don't have enough time right now, but there's a lot there. Homework. Work with the first line. When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as fill in the blank, right? What are you doing in your life? When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as the clock, right? What is that? How is that even functioning? How can this big earth, beyond measure actually, big earth means beyond measure, all phenomena, I guess apparently there's like billions and billions and billions of cosmoses and stars and like there's a lot going on there. So it's really hard to pick it all up. But here it is, on the clock. What about all the other things that you're picking up? What about all the things in your head, all the emotions and thoughts? When I pick up this great earth, it's as big as the pain in my knee, right? This is interesting. This is really kind of like magical mystery tour stuff. Welcome to Zen practice.